The Ascalon shuddered as it breached the edges of the void sea, a swirling expanse of darkness and fractured light that stretched for uncountable parsecs. Gravitational anomalies rippled like invisible tides, testing the ship's shields as Commander Lila Armitage stood on the bridge. She gripped the edge of the tactical console, her sharp green eyes fixed on the viewport where the turbulent maelstrom loomed. "Steady as she goes," Lila ordered, her voice calm but firm. The crew moved with a precision born of discipline, their faces pale but resolute. No one spoke about the fact that no human ship had ever ventured this far into the void sea and returned intact. "Approaching target coordinates," Lieutenant Rowan called out from navigation. His voice betrayed a slight tremor, and Lila shot him a reassuring glance. "Good work, Rowan. Keep her steady." She turned to the ship's AI interface, a holographic orb pulsing with soft light. "Cora, status on the artifact's signal?" "Steady and increasing, Commander," the AI replied in its smooth, neutral tone. "The cradle of Titans is approximately 0.2 light-years ahead. Energy readings remain anomalous." "Define anomalous," Lila pressed. "Fluctuations suggest both organic and synthetic components, Commander. The artifact's age is estimated to be several million years, yet its energy output surpasses any known galactic standard." Lila's jaw tightened. She had read the mission dossier a dozen times, but the abstract details couldn't prepare her for standing at the edge of an enigma this massive. Humanity had fought tooth and nail for its place among the stars, but this was a different league entirely. Technology and history beyond comprehension. "Commander Armitage," came a cold, clipped voice from the observation deck behind her. Lila turned to see Overseer Caleb Vorix, his crimson Vierith robes flowing like liquid fire. His pale, elongated features were unreadable, but his golden eyes gleamed with thinly veiled disdain. "Overseer," Lila acknowledged, her tone polite but curt. She had little patience for the Vierith envoy's superiority complex, though she knew better than to let it show. "The Dominion has monitored this region for centuries," Kayla said, his hands clasped behind his back. "Your species' abrupt interest in the cradle is most curious." "Humanity has a knack for curiosity," Lila replied evenly. "We'll share what we learn when the time comes." Kayla's thin lips twitched into what might have been a smile. "Let us hope you survive the learning process." Before Lila could retort, the ship jolted violently, throwing several crew members against their harnesses. Alarms blared, and the lights flickered ominously. "Report!" Lila barked, steadying herself. "Energy surge from the artifact!" Rowan shouted, his fingers flying over the controls. "It's holy hell! It's scanning us!" Lila's heart raced. "Shields at maximum!" "Cora, what's happening?" The AI's voice remained steady, but its light flickered erratically. "The cradle has emitted a directed energy wave. No damage detected, but crew biometric readings are fluctuating." "Fluctuating how?" "Genetic markers in the human crew are exhibiting unexpected activity." Lila froze. That made no sense, and yet her instincts told her to fear what she didn't understand. "Crew, stay alert," she ordered. "Kaler, are your people experiencing anything similar?" The Overseer's expression darkened. "Our physiology is unaffected. Perhaps the cradle recognizes something specific to your kind." His words sent a chill down Lila's spine. She didn't trust him, but she couldn't dismiss the possibility that humanity had stumbled into something far more personal than a mere relic. "Prepare an away team," she ordered. "Rowan, secure the shuttle. I want eyes on that artifact." "Commander, are you sure that's wise?" her science officer, Dr. Elise Danner, asked. "We still don't know what we're dealing with." "We won't learn anything sitting here," Lila replied, her voice brooking no argument. "And if the cradle has plans for us, I'd rather face them head-on." The shuttle launch bay buzzed with controlled chaos as Lila and her team prepared for departure. She checked her gear with meticulous care, her thoughts racing. Beside her, Danner adjusted her data scanner, and Chief Engineer Tarek muttered to himself as he triple-checked the shuttle's systems. "First time visiting an ancient alien death trap?" Tarek joked, his gruff voice carrying a hint of forced humor. "Let's make it our last," Lila quipped, earning a small smile from the engineer. The shuttle detached from the Ascalon with a hiss, gliding toward the cradle. Up close, the artifact was more intimidating than any of them had imagined, a monolithic structure of blackened metal and iridescent veins, its surface shifting as if alive. "Energy levels are spiking again," Dana warned, her scanner beeping wildly. As they approached the cradle, a sudden pulse of light engulfed the shuttle, blinding the crew momentarily. Lila's vision swam with fragmented images, towering figures locked in battle, worlds burning, and a sense of overwhelming power. When the light faded, her breath came in ragged gasps, and she realized the others were equally shaken. "Did everyone just see something?" she asked, gripping her seat. "More like feel something," Tarek muttered, rubbing his temples. "That wasn't just a vision, it was like it was inside me." The shuttle's comm system crackled, and Cora's voice came through. "Commander, the cradle's energy output has stabilized, but the ship's sensors now detect molecular changes in the crew. The artifact appears to be interacting with your biology." "What the hell does that mean?" Lila demanded. "Insufficient data," Cora replied. Kayla's voice broke into the calm, cold, and calculating. "Perhaps your species is not as ordinary as you believe, Commander." Lila ignored him, focusing on the looming artifact. Whatever secrets the cradle held, she would uncover them, but unease coiled in her stomach. She couldn't shake the feeling that humanity's curiosity had awakened something far beyond their understanding. "Bring us in closer," she ordered. "We're not leaving until we know what we found." As the shuttle docked with the cradle's outer surface, Lila's resolve hardened. She would protect her crew, uncover the truth, and face whatever the cradle revealed, even if it changed everything. The shuttle hissed as it latched onto the cradle's outer docking port. The hum of the ship's systems faded, leaving an eerie silence that pressed down on Lila Armitage and her team. The metallic clang of their boots echoed as they stepped into the artifact's dimly lit corridor. Strange, organic patterns snaked across the walls, glowing faintly as if alive. "Keep a tight formation," Lila ordered, her pulse quickening. The atmosphere was breathable, but it carried an unnatural weight, as though the air itself was watching them. "Danner, what are we looking at?" The science officer swept her scanner across the walls, her brow furrowed. "It's like nothing I've ever seen. These materials aren't static. They're reacting to us. Almost like they're trying to understand us." "Well, I wish they'd stop," muttered Chief Engineer Tarek, his hand hovering over the plasma cutter strapped to his belt. Lila glanced over her shoulder. "Eyes forward, Tarek. Let's not make friends with the walls just yet." They pressed onward, their path illuminated by the shifting glow of the cradle itself. The air grew warmer, and Lila felt an odd sensation prickling at her skin, a strange mix of unease and exhilaration, as if the cradle were reaching into her very core. They entered a large chamber dominated by a central console, its surface etched with incomprehensible symbols that pulsed faintly. Lila's team spread out, scanning the room. "This has to be the control hub," Danner said, crouching beside the console. "But the language, it's ancient. I don't think any known AI can translate this." "Try anyway," Lila said. "We need answers." Before Danner could respond, the room trembled, and a low hum filled the air. The glowing symbols on the console flared to life, and an artificial voice echoed through the chamber, its tone deep and resonant. "Designation, Child of Titans. Recognition confirmed." The team froze. Lila's heart thundered in her chest. "Did it just?" "Yes," Danner whispered, her voice barely audible. "State your purpose," the voice demanded. Lila stepped forward, her fists clenched. "We're here to understand. To learn what you are." The voice paused, as if considering her words. "The cradle is the seed of dominion, the harbinger of the Titan bloodline's ascendancy. You, progeny of war, carry the legacy within." "What the hell does that mean?" Tarek hissed. Before anyone could respond, the console emitted a burst of light. Lila staggered as the same searing images from before flooded her mind, towering figures with luminous eyes, vast fleets descending on burning worlds, and a swirling black void consuming everything. The light subsided, leaving Lila gasping. She braced herself against the console, her head pounding. Around her, the others looked equally shaken, their faces pale and glistening with sweat. "It's unlocking something in us," Dana said, her voice trembling. "I can feel it. Like it's waking up pieces of me I didn't know were there." "That's not comforting," Tarek muttered, gripping his plasma cutter. Before Lila could speak, the calm crackled to life. "Commander Armitage," came Kayla's voice, sharp and cutting. "What is it, Kayla?" Lila snapped, trying to steady herself. "The cradle's activation is broadcasting a signal across the void sea," the overseer said. "Its reach is vast. If the Dominion receives it before we do, you may not live to see its consequences." Lila straightened. "And what do you plan to do about it, overseer?" A long silence followed, heavy with implication. "I suspect the cradle's true purpose is tied to your kind. It is unwise to leave such power in human hands. Don't even think about it." Lila growled, but the line went dead. She turned to her team. "We've got a problem. Kayla's gone dark, and if he's doing what I think he is, we're on a clock. Danner, figure out what this console can do. Tarek, prep defensive measures. We're not letting him take this artifact." As they worked, the hum of the cradle grew louder, and the walls began to pulse rhythmically. It wasn't just alive, it was aware. Lila could feel its presence like a shadow at the edge of her mind, vast and ancient, waiting for something. Danner's voice broke the silence. "Commander, I think I've found something. This console, it's not just a control system. It's a genetic key." Lila frowned. "Explain." "It's linked to our DNA," Danner said, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe. "Human DNA specifically. It's enhancing dormant genes, genes that shouldn't exist in us, but do. This thing wasn't just built by an advanced species. It was built by our ancestors." The words hit Lila like a hammer. "You're saying humans?" "Humans were titans," Danner interrupted. "Or descended from them. That's why it's reacting to us." Before Lila could process the revelation, the chamber doors slammed shut with a metallic clang. Red lights flared, and an ominous drone filled the air. "Commander, we've got incoming!" Tarek shouted. From the walls emerged sleek, insectal drones, their bodies glinting with the same iridescent patterns as the cradle. They moved with lethal precision, their limbs tipped with glowing blades. "Defensive positions!" Lila yelled, drawing her plasma pistol. The drones lunged, and chaos erupted. Tarek unleashed a barrage of plasma bolts, cutting down 2 drones in quick succession. Danner ducked behind the console, frantically working to disable whatever had triggered the attack. Lila fired with pinpoint accuracy, taking out a drone that had cornered Tarek. "Danner, we need that console shut down, now!" "I'm trying!" Danner shouted, sweat dripping down her face. "It's not responding. Wait, I've got something!" The drones froze mid-attack, their glowing limbs dimming. The room fell eerily silent, save for the team's ragged breathing. "What did you do?" Lila asked, lowering her weapon. "I rerouted the energy pulse," Danner said, her voice shaky. "It bought us time, but it's temporary." Lila nodded, her mind racing. "We need to find Kayla. He's playing a dangerous game, and we can't let him take control of this place." As they regrouped, the cradle's voice echoed once more, softer now but no less commanding. "The bloodline awakens. The trials begin." Lila exchanged a grim look with her team. Whatever they'd unleashed, it was only the beginning. The silence after the cradle's declaration was almost unbearable. Lila stood in the pulsating chamber, her breath steady but shallow, her mind racing. The words, "The bloodline awakens. The trials begin," echoed in her head, heavy with ominous implication. Her team had survived the initial assault, but they were far from safe. "Danner, Tarek, status report," Lila commanded, her tone clipped but steady. Danner, still crouched near the console, wiped her brow. The drones are dormant for now, but the system is adapting. It's like it's testing us. Testing us for what? Tarek muttered, his plasma cutter still at the ready. Lila didn't answer. Instead, she activated her comm, her voice cold and sharp. Kaler, I know you're listening. What's your move? The Overseer's response came after a calculated pause. My move, Commander, is dictated by necessity. The cradle represents a power that could reshape the galaxy. Do you trust humanity to wield it wisely? Humanity doesn't need your permission. Lila shot back. Stand down and let us handle this. Kayla's voice remained calm. I suggest you focus on surviving your trial, Commander. Your people's history is written in conflict. This will be no exception. The line went dead, and Lila cursed under her breath. He's positioning himself to take control the moment we fail, she said to her team. Then we don't fail, Tarek said gruffly, gripping his cutter tighter. The chamber shifted abruptly, the walls rippling as if alive. The floor beneath them groaned, and an opening appeared, revealing a narrow passageway lit by flickering orange light. Guess that's our invitation, Dana said, her voice uneasy. Stay sharp, Lila ordered, leading the way. The passage twisted and turned, the air growing warmer and more oppressive with each step. Strange carvings adorned the walls, depicting towering figures wielding unimaginable power. The deeper they went, the more vivid the images became, as if the cradle was trying to tell a story. These carvings, Dana said, running her hand over one. They're a timeline. Titans rose, built wonders, and turned on each other. Looks like we inherited more than just their DNA, Tarek muttered grimly. At the passage's end, they entered a vast circular arena. The air shimmered with energy, and at the center stood a raised platform. Surrounding it were translucent orbs, each one flickering with scenes from humanity's history, wars, revolutions, triumphs, and atrocities. The trial has begun, the cradle's voice announced, reverberating through the arena. Lila stepped forward cautiously. What kind of trial? The trial of dominion. Prove your lineage is worthy of the power you seek. Before Lila could respond, one of the orbs flared, projecting a lifelike image onto the platform. A towering figure appeared, clad in ancient armor that gleamed with an otherworldly light. Its eyes glowed a deep, unsettling blue. What the hell is that? Tarek whispered, his voice barely audible. The past, Dana said, her voice tinged with awe. The figure stepped forward, its movements fluid and deliberate. It raised an arm, and a spear of light materialized in its grasp. Without warning, it charged. Move! Lila shouted, diving to the side as the spear struck the ground where she'd been standing, leaving a scorch mark. Tarek fired his plasma cutter, but the figure deflected the shots with its spear, advancing relentlessly. It's not just a hologram, Tarek shouted. It's solid! Focus fire on the spear! Lila ordered, rolling to her feet and taking aim. The combined fire from the team's weapons struck the spear, causing it to flicker and destabilize. The figure faltered, giving Lila an opening. She surged forward, drawing her combat blade, and slashed at the figure's chest. Sparks flew as her blade connected, and the figure dissolved into light. The team barely had time to catch their breath before the next orb activated, projecting two more figures onto the platform. These were faster, wielding twin blades that crackled with energy. This is escalating fast, Dana said, ducking as one of the figures swung at her. Tarek, cover Danner! Focus on disabling their weapons! Lila barked, her voice cutting through the chaos. The fight was brutal and unrelenting. Each figure moved with precision and strength far beyond human limits. Lila's muscles burned, and her breath came in ragged gasps, but she refused to back down. Finally, with a well-placed shot from Tarek and a deft strike from Lila, the figures disintegrated. The arena fell silent, but the energy in the air crackled with anticipation. This isn't over, Dana said, her voice heavy with exhaustion. No, it's not, Lila agreed, scanning the arena. The final orb activated, and the light it projected was blinding. When it faded, a single figure stood before them, It was larger and more imposing than the others, its armor etched with intricate runes that glowed like molten metal. You have reached the culmination of your trial, the Cradle's voice declared. Victory here will confirm your dominion. Failure will erase your bloodline. The figure raised its weapon, a massive blade that radiated pure energy, and charged. Lila gritted her teeth. This is it. Hold nothing back. The team fought with everything they had, their movements a desperate dance of survival. Lila dodged a sweeping strike that would have cleaved her in two, countering with a precise shot that hit the figure's shoulder. Tarek and Danner worked in tandem, using their combined firepower to destabilize the figure's defenses. But it adapted quickly, shifting its strategy and pressing its advantage. Lila's mind raced. They couldn't outlast it, they had to outthink it. Her gaze darted to the glowing runes on its armor, and an idea sparked. Danner, target the runes! That's its power source! Danner nodded, adjusting her weapon settings. On it! With precise shots, the runes began to flicker and fade. The figure's movements slowed, and its attacks grew less coordinated. Now! Lila shouted, lunging forward. She drove her combat blade into the center of the figure's chest, twisting it with all her strength. The figure let out a deafening roar, its body disintegrating into light. The arena fell silent once more, the oppressive energy dissipating. The trial is complete, the Cradle's voice announced. Dominion confirmed. Lila staggered back, her chest heaving. She glanced at her team, battered but alive. What now? Tarek asked, his voice weary. The Cradle's voice softened. The legacy is yours to wield. The choice is yours to make. As the team stood in the quiet aftermath, Lila felt the weight of the Cradle's words. This was more than a victory, it was a burden, a responsibility that could shape the future of humanity. She squared her shoulders, determination burning in her eyes. We'll use it wisely. Humanity won't squander this chance. The Cradle pulsed with light, and the path back to the shuttle opened. The team moved forward, their steps heavy but resolute. Whatever came next, they would face it together.